Spinoza's challenge to Mosaic authorship. To this day, Spinoza questioned Moses' authorship, and one of his arguments comes from Deuteronomy chapter 34 verse 6, which reads, "And he buried him in the valley in the land of Moab, opposite Beth Peor. But no one knows his burial place to this day." Spinoza refers to Deuteronomy chapter 34 verse 6 and says in Tractatus Theologico-Politicus in chapter 8, "Such testimony of Moses' death could never have been given by Moses of himself, nor by any immediate successor, but by someone who lived many generations later, and particularly so since the historian seems to be speaking of some remote time, as he says of his place of burial. Nobody knows it unto this day." Spinoza argues that the expression "unto this day" or "to this day" implies that a long period of time had elapsed between the events described and the moment of writing. This led Spinoza to argue that these phrases reflect a later editorial hand. The formula presupposes antiquity. It indicates that many years, indeed centuries, must have passed before the text was composed. This observation continues to be cited in modern critical scholarship. In his book, Who Wrote the Bible?, Richard Elliott Friedman states on page 20, for example, the text sometimes states that something is the case to this day. To this day is not the phrase of someone describing a contemporary situation. It is rather the phrase of a later writer who is describing something that has endured. According to the critical scholarship, this phrase reflects the standpoint of later writers or editors. According to Genesis chapter 26 verse 33, Isaac said about the city of Beersheba, "So he called it Sheba. Therefore the name of the city is Beersheba to this day." In this context, the city received the name Beersheba centuries earlier, and the phrase "to this day" indicates the passage of many centuries. The question is, does the expression "unto this day" or "to this day" always indicate that a long period of time, possibly centuries, has elapsed? Let's have a look at another example where the expression "unto this day" is used. In the connection with Rahab, the following is said in Joshua chapter 6 verse 25. "But Rahab the harlot, and her father's household, and all that she had, did Joshua save alive. And she dwelt in the midst of Israel unto this day, because she hid the messengers, whom Joshua sent to spy out Jericho." Rahab could only have lived some decades with the Israelites. "Unto this day" is therefore referring to years or few decades, but it does not refer to centuries. Since the expression "unto this day" or "to this day" can mean years or a few decades. Who could therefore have written the statement, "But no one knows his burial place to this day"? From Deuteronomy chapter 34 verse 6. Could Joshua have written it? The Babylonian Talmud Bava Batra 14b gives an explanation. It says, according to Babylonian Talmud, Joshua wrote his own book and 8 verses in the Torah, which describe the death of Moses. This means it took Joshua a few decades to write his own book, and after these years he could write that nobody knows it unto this day, the burial place of Moses. There's also direct evidence that Joshua wrote within Moses' own scroll, according to Joshua chapter 24 verse 26. "And Joshua wrote these words in the book of the law of God." This statement indicates that Joshua added to the same scroll Moses had written. In summary, the following can be said. "Unto this day" or "to this day" in the Pentateuch means from the time of the event until the present moment of the writer. It indicates retrospection, but does not always specify centuries. Joshua, after he has written his own book, which took some decades, could write that nobody knows it unto this day, the burial place of Moses. Spinoza's claim that the expression "unto this day" or "to this day" implies the passage of many generations or centuries is unfounded. There is no need for a later editor of the text